I was a pretty big Spider-Man fan growing up in my pre to late teens. Then I stopped reading for a while, tried to pick it back up, but I was aware of the One More Day storyline, so my hopes weren't very high. I bought one more issue that featured some type of Red Goblin, and afterwards I was like, I won't be able to get back into this. So frankly, it's been a few years since I read a Spider-Man comic book, but recently on YouTube I saw a review of Spider-Man Life Story. And from what I heard, and of course saw in the video, seemed to be pretty good, so I decided to give it a chance. Now, what do I think? It's very good. Very good. Spider-Man actually ages in this story. He even upgrades his suits because he does age. Of course, his body starts to get trouble after a couple of years already, doing so much battle.
By the way, here are some of the battle suits, and they do look really cool.
What I also liked was that his most popular storylines were worked into these decades, some of which will be mentioned later. Also, a nice addition was that the superhero civil war actually already started around the time of the Vietnam conflict, which was a very interesting dynamic in relation to the fact that Spider-Man could actually question himself at times if he was actually worthy of being a superhero. And the story felt very real at times, because there were consequences for his actions. Mary Jane leaves him. He himself gets tired of being Spider-Man at one point, and he lets Ben Reilly take over, and eventually Ben Reilly pays the price because he has to fight Morlun instead of Peter. By the way, Morlun is one of my favorite Spider-Man villains of all time. Now, where the realism seemed to work against the story was in the fact that certain characters seem to age and others not at all. Like Mary Jane and Reed Richards seem to age alongside Spider-Man, but characters like Tony Stark didn't seem to age at all and be closer in age to Peter than they actually are in canon. As Steve Rogers didn't seem to age at all. Now, the one thing I didn't like about the story was the Gwen Stacy clone. I did like that in the end she ended up looking like Jill Stacy to disguise her appearance. Nice little addition too was a separate story with J. Jonah Jameson also aging in the story. His perspective on how he thinks about Spider-Man and how he tried to frame him, and the idea of Kraven being Venom, man, no, that's really scary. Really scary. I thought that was a very clever touch. So, for those still wondering if they should pick this book up, yeah, you should. Totally.